All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Now, Quebec Liberal leader Charles Milliard, boy, he's in a pickle, eh? He has clarified his clarifications of his position on Bill 96. He seems to be pleasing no one. In a tweet yesterday morning, he said quite a bit. He said a Liberal government will reopen Bill 96 to introduce measures that better address the real challenges facing French in Quebec while respecting everyone's rights. He says he'll use every measure to protect French, and that does include the notwithstanding clause. Now, many in the Anglo community are upset with Milliard, including our next guest, who is leader of the Canadian Party of Quebec. Our pleasure to welcome back to the show, Joseph Cianflone. Hey, Joseph, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Elias.
You're a leader. Mr. Cianflone. You're a leader of a party, for crying out loud. Mr. Cianflone. But I'll call you Joe if that's what you want. So let me ask you, well, what's your take on where Charles Milliard has landed? Is the problem where he's landed or where he started or all the flip-flops? How do you assess this?
Listen, I think we've discussed before in the past, before he was the leader of this party, while we were in the interregnum there, that I offered him the leadership of this party, right, to do the job well. I think it's sad but predictable where he's ended up. And I think it's especially sad because what we probably have is the most honest leader of the Quebec Liberal Party in the last 50 years, right? He's probably trying to make these two dualities this party has pretended is a coherent political philosophy for decades work. But he's completely underestimated the system and, you know, the trap that he's in the Quebec Liberal Party, and that they have not led on a vision, right, and explained what the difference is between patriotism and nationalism is. They've fallen into this trap. And so now you can't have a nationalism that won't invoke the notwithstanding clause, because nationalism, by definition, is the excessive patriotism against other people. None of that is necessary for protecting French. Francophones know that. Nationalists and separatists don't acknowledge or want to acknowledge that. This is the difference between being honest and showing vision in your leadership versus accepting the cards you're dealt and trying to optimize. And we are, I would say, far past the point of optimization in our society.
But it sounds like you're saying the problem is the vehicle itself, like the Liberal Party of Quebec. It doesn't matter who's in charge. It's just impossible to do what you ask inside the Liberal Party of Quebec. I want you to expand upon that because, you know, it's not too long ago that we had Jean Charest, capable, Philippe Couillard, seemingly capable. So I don't know if I agree with that assessment. I think with the right leader in the right position, you can be successful on this matter and more.
I think it's all about how you define success, Elias. So there's no question that good people get involved with the Quebec Liberal Party, right? That's not the issue here. The issue is whether or not within the orthodoxy of our political debates that's been accepted, nationalism, that protecting French means squashing English, that integrating into our culture means giving up your religion, your identity, that personal freedom is something to subjugate to this collective, you know, sort of nonsense philosophy, right? I mean, there's 50 years of this, and it's, you know, there's a lot of European schools of thought in that, right? But it doesn't really connect to the North American and South American experience, right? And so, again, I think all of those people have great intentions. I'm sure when Jean Charest's son, you know, basically created the Quebec Constitution via the Liberal leadership race that we have now, the intention was not to end up with Bill 1, right? But strategically, again, because the party's political philosophy doesn't exist, it's basically a marketing machine, I think, for a lot of people who believe that they want to do good, but without having any sort of universal principles. And I mean, again, these are not hard, right? It's the golden rule. It's that respect goes both ways. Show me any part of Bills 21, 40, 96, 84, 1 through 12, anywhere where either of those are respected. So we've led to this reality, and you've got to put the pieces together, right? There's notwithstanding, like you said, and there's first past the post. And so these structures have all created the easy path, which is unite 10, 12% of the population behind this banner of nationalism, behind which there is no unity, right? And that's why none of the good things can come to pass, right? But unite them under these knee-jerk issues. It's one issue, it's separatism, it's nationalism, it's being anti-Canadian, etc. That wins an election. What it doesn't win you is a mandate or any support from the public to actually get anything done.
Okay,
and we're far down this road.
So listen, and we're with Joseph Cianflone, leader of the Canadian Party of Quebec. Respectfully here, Joe, it just seems like you're saying all of them, like the Liberals, the CAC, the PQ, the bunch of them. They all don't know what they're doing. And I'm sorry to say, but I look at your party. Fledgling is overselling it. I don't think you register in polling and that kind of stuff. So, whatever you're selling, whatever, your message here today, I get you. You're passionate about it. It is not a message that is resonating with many people. So, again, I wonder if even having a party like the Canadian Party of Quebec is the right idea, instead of taking your ideas, and some of them are really smart, taking those ideas and trying to change some of these parties.
I think that's probably how most people set out until you realize the realities of the economic flows and having a job. And quite frankly, it's pretty hard to ask all of your colleagues in the Quebec caucus right now in any of these parties. You're right, because they've all endorsed nationalism because it is the easy road to take. And you are also right. That is not the Canadian Party. The more they go low, the higher we will stay. Because the system itself that is proliferated is also very easily won against. We just need 10% of Quebec to want the right things from its politics. Then all of these parties will change their tonality, right? But you can't not do the work and expect the result. So you are right. I am not here to win in any sort of expeditious manner or take that easy path, right? That would be the seductive path, right? I'm here not to try to be Premier of Quebec. I'm here to change a system that generationally has guaranteed the failure versus the ambition we could have out there as Quebec. I want to see Quebec back leading Canada, not taking welfare checks from it. We have every advantage economically in terms of our education system, in terms of our language, in terms of our deep Quebec roots, our knowledge of what it is to be Canadian at the highest levels, right? It's us who should be leading this country, and we self-defeat. So I get the advice and the hint, but I am proposing to you that what we're building here is something different. And you will see in the next 2 months, we have dozens of candidates lined up. Some of those are ex-federal MPs. Some of those have been healthcare critics. We have professors on our policy committee. You will see that this paradigm has pushed itself too far, that people are no longer willing to support it. And again, it's not overnight because it's a strong thing. And I can't resent any of these people, right? I mean, I think they all individually are trying to do something good. But once you're lost in the game, you're lost in the game. And so we need to give an alternative to our people, especially to our youth. Imagine being under 40 right now, having all the best intentions for Quebec, knowing that we can achieve at a level we don't even try to because of this. Who do you join? What do you do? As a 20-year-old, you're going to get involved with one of these parties and you think you're going to change the whole party? I mean, some do, right? And then they end up, the leaders for the wrong things, right? 20 years later, and we're facing that. Right? So if we don't start structurally fixing our society, bring it back to personal responsibility, bring it back to individual liberty, understanding collective success is the product of our individual contributions and decisions, we will never, ever see the Quebec, the strong, united, powerful Quebec that I want to see. That, to me, is the only value of nationalism, quote unquote.
You made your piece
strongly patriotic.
You've said your piece on nationalism, and I heard you there, but what you just said about individual liberties and choices and that kind of thing. Boy, it sounded like Eric Duhem sounded on this show last week.
Except for that, he wants to systematically introduce the notwithstanding clause. Yeah. And you and I did this with him last election cycle. He wouldn't repeal 96. He's still a separatist and a nationalist.
I understand, right? But you're never it's just like you can't, if you're looking for 100% agreement on every subject with parties that are polling at 10, 15, 20%, you're never going to find it, right? So again,
we don't need to. We can agree on individual issues, right? He also likes proportional representation, or used to, and I hope he still sees the importance of that for the stability of a democracy as a conservative.
When you have further announcements about the team that's going to be around you in the next provincial election, come back on, okay?
Very excited for that. We'll have our convention in June. Let's try to get you out there.
All right, awesome. Joseph Cianflone there, leader of the Canadian Party of Quebec.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio, hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you.
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love. Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody, how are you tonight?